I'm going to begin to talk about some unilateral work, which is a fancy term that I'm going to try to avoid using so I can just tell you what it really means. Whenever we say unilateral, we mean one side. That's what it's saying. One side. I just saved the trouble of having to describe what unilateral actually means. Unilateral is just where you start to eliminate the use of one side of your body in exchange for another. So let's say if you're not ready to make the jump to go from 2 arms to 1 arm on your push-ups, then you're going to have to start to implement some unilateral work. So that's what I've got my parallel here for. Now I've got one arm, as you can see, steadily pressed up against the parallel, and I've got one arm on the ground. Now you're going to notice the further and further this parallel travels, the harder and harder this push-up is going to get. So I'm able to, let's see, I can go about 90 right there. I can get, let's see how much of a range of motion I can get. My body is at a tilt. I'm starting to eliminate the involvement of one arm. So obviously the arm that's going to have the least involvement in this exchange of exercise is going to be my right arm. It's off the ground. It has a limited range of motion. It's kept up by this parallel. So how far can I go when this arm hits 90 degrees? There. That's it. That's as far as I can go. Now as this moves further and further away, let's see that. How much of a range of motion can I get with this arm? Just a little bit more. How much more can I get? Let's see, it's about almost fully extended. A little bit more. Now it's getting harder. So as you can see, the further away that arm is getting, you're eliminating the need for its use. And as you develop the strength to be able to eliminate the arm completely, that's when we move on to one-arm exercises. Like the one-arm push-up, which I'll show you momentarily, which also involves not only the use of eliminating one arm, it's also going to involve the use of the positioning of your legs, depending upon how you angle those legs. Right? So if I have it wide, then I'm going to make that one-arm push-up just a tad easier. Bring it in tight. Now it's harder. That's because of the line, which I'm drawing. If I'm drawing a tripod shape in my one-arm push-up, then obviously I've got a lot more balance. I got a little bit more going for me. That one leg that's stretched out far is going to keep me from falling, and it's also going to keep the leg closest to my arm from lifting off the ground. And so, as for now, you're just going to focus on eliminating the use of that arm that you're working with. So let's say I want to make, in this case I'm using my right arm. I try and see how much of a range of motion I can get with this arm being eliminated. Right as soon as you hit 90, that's about as far as you go with that other arm that's doing all the work. So to make this a little less complicated for you, as soon as I head down this, I'm going to get as much of a range of motion as I can with it. Let's say if I'm not strong enough for a one-arm push-up, I go until this hits a 90, right here. Until this arm hits a 90, I stop. Boom. Up. Boom. Up. Boom. Up. Switch sides. Whatever you do to one side, make sure you do it to the other. You want to be imbalanced. So I'm going to start right here. 90 is about as far as I can go. Let's see how this works out. Down. Up. Down. Up. And then of course the further and further away I move this parallel, it's going to get just a little bit more challenging. So let's say if my left arm is almost entirely removed, it's not completely removed because I'm still having it positioned here on the parallel. My shoulder is still somewhat involved. Still a little bit of straight arm work coming from the shoulder here to assist this push-up. This is what you would call a lateral push-up. So I'm coming down right here and back up, down, and back up. You do whatever you do to one side to the other. Make sure you always have some balance. Unilateral push-up here, same difference. Make sure that arm is far away from the body, far enough so that it's not able to bend. I want to keep it straight. I want to keep it nice and locked out. This is my unilateral push-up. My left side now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this lays out the groundwork for your one-arm push-up.